If you're a diehard Raiders fan that bleeds silver and black and you want more mailbags, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. I know it's the off season. I know training camp is underway, but one of my favorite things to do on this show is to hear what Raider Nation is talking about. Don't be afraid to fire away, ask me questions. We do mailbags all the time on this channel, and the only way you're going to be able to get on is if you're subscribed. It's mailbag time here on the Raiders Report, and the friendly reminder that this show was recorded on July 24th. So if anything happens from now until when you watch this show, don't get mad at me, but I always like to be able to know and let people know that this show is really predicated on the backs of Raider Nation, and I appreciate each and every one of the questions that comes in today. Let's go to Gary Backus. Any current Raider safety that I have a Cam Chandler vibe and a Pete Carroll defense? I think you're talking, I'll say Cam Chancellor is the name that I think you were going for. I heard Chandler, and I instantly thought of Chandler Jones. I was like, honestly, God, I hope not. We already have him. His name is Jeremy Chin. I think Jeremy Chin was added to this team to help supplement the loss of Robert Spillane, to help bring that energy that Cam Bam Bam used to be able to bring. And I think Jeremy Chin's going to be that guy that plays safety, plays a little bit of this linebacker hybrid role, and he's going to be laying the wood, and he's been one of the biggest winners this offseason. Let's go to Rick Kelly. Love this shit. Love the Raiders. FKC. Is Gino really going to work out? I want him to, but I'm reserved on it. I honestly think that if Gino played for any other NFL team, people would realize how good he truly is. And I don't blame a Raiders fan for being reserved on it because we haven't done a lot of winning. But I'll just say this. Geno Smith has the sixth most wins, 27 wins the last 3 years. Jared Goff, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson are the only quarterbacks that have more wins than him. And then you pair that with Tom Brady, who's done a lot of winning. Chip Kelly, done a lot of winning as an OC. John Spytek, done a lot of winning. I believe in this Raiders organization. And Pete Carroll, he's done a lot of winning. I believe in Geno Smith because of the pieces that we have surrounded him with. And I'm really excited what he can do this upcoming season. I'm also really excited about the deal that we got right now with Panda Sups. In today's mailbag is presented by them. Use code Raiders for 20% off at pandasups.com. If you spend over $125, we're going to get you free creatine and free shipping if you live in the U.S. Let's go to my man, Vedthrak Mount Raider Moore. Joining the Bang Gang, he said, which rookie drafted in the fourth round or later will have the biggest impact this season? So you're talking about Dante Thornton Jr., Tonka Hemingway, J.J. Pegues, Tommy Malott, Cam Miller, Cody Lindenberg. Yell at me if I'm forgetting another name in there. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. I'm going to go with Dante Thornton Jr. because I think the key word that you use there is impact. And, Dante Thornton Jr. is going to make an impact on the game every time he steps on the field because of his size, because of his speed. He's going to open things up for Ashton Genty. The Raiders have already been using him a lot. Like, already in training camp, he's working as the wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. And I expect big things from this guy, and I can't wait to see what he does this upcoming season. Let's go to Kirk Lackey. What up, Kirk? R.I.P. to Malcolm, Ozzy, and the Hulk. F. Kermit, pay the man, 16 and 74. I agree. I'm paying Jacoby Myers. I want the Raiders to pay Colton Miller, and we have lost some legends this week, and the only positive thing out of this is them and Brandon Jasper are joined together, and I'm sure they're debating about some top fives right now. Let's go to Sean Irish. Are you optimistic about Adams with him working with the linebackers? I am more optimistic that he is working as a linebacker, and I also just kind of look at this as I kind of want Jamal Adams to play in the box, linebacker, safety, somebody that can cover tight ends, somebody that can maybe cover some running backs. But I also want the Raiders to just allow him to be an athlete. Like, let him go out and get the quarterback. Let him stop the run. I don't need Jamal Adams to play more than 300 snaps this season. Quite frankly, I think if the Raiders are putting him out there on the field more than that, you're going to be you're not going to like the way you look. I guarantee it. I know that he's bringing some fire. I've heard some good things from some players that I talked to, but my reservations are still on Adams because of some of the off-the-field stuff that he has done. Let's go to Sal. You're next up here on the show. Where is Lockie Tossie taking snaps? He's still taking snaps on the offensive line. And he was brought in as a defensive tackle, but the Raiders have switched him to play offensive guard, and I think they're just trying to see what they got in him right now. He's a big body guy, just gigantic human being. But one of the players that I talked to on the team has just said that Tassi has been trying to go under the wing of some offensive linemen, and I think a good example of that is when Tassi and JPJ, they went to Australia probably like 2 weeks ago at this point, and they went there together, I think just build a little bit more of the bonding, and JPJ wanted to go. So I know that Tassi has been just trying to be a sponge as much as he possibly can and learn behind some of these Raiders offensive linemen. Let's go to Theo. You're next up here on the Raiders Report. Russell Wilson stole Matt Flynn's job. Why couldn't that happen to Geno Smith? I don't like to say anything's impossible in the NFL, but I just don't see Aidan O'Connell stealing Geno Smith's job. I don't see Cam Miller stealing his job. I know AOC has looked good in training camp, but to answer your question, Geno Smith's relationship with Pete Carroll, it's just one of those relationships that goes way beyond football. They just have such a great respect for each other. They traded for Geno. They already gave him a 2-year extension. Matt Flynn and Pete Carroll don't have nearly the relationship that Geno Smith and Pete Carroll do. And I don't want to sit up here and go, there's a 0% chance that Aidan steals the job. That's probably not fair to say to Aidan. It's probably not the right thing to say to Geno either. And I don't think it's right to say to any of the other players on that team, because if you want that compete mindset, you got to have an open competition. But to answer your question, it's the relationship between Pete and Geno. It's a lot closer than I think what people really, truly realize, and it's extremely, extremely close. Let's go to Tybo. You're next up here on the show. What's the latest we can sign Simmons or Hilton? I mean, you can sign them technically anytime that you want. I do know that Julian Blackmon recently signed with the New Orleans Saints, which, at 1 year, $5.5 million. As much as I like Isaiah Paul-Amal, I would have rather the Raiders sign Julian Blackmon for 1 year, 5.5, than give Isaiah Paul-Amal 2 for 8.5, is what they ended up doing. But if it was up to me, I would have tried to get the Justin Simmons deal done earlier. Mike Hilton, I actually do not think happens at this point anymore. But Simmons said he wants to play for a contender. Some people might not consider the Raiders a contender, but if you're the Raiders and you want Justin Simmons, or if you want Mike Hilton, you might have to pay him a little bit more money. Luckily, you have the money to do it. Let's go to Brandon is humble. If AOC outplays Geno Smith this training camp and preseason, will he be the starter? All right, how about this, Chugs? Personally, for me, I don't think that Aidan is going to outplay Geno. That's like me asking you, if Zamir White outplays Ashton Genty, is Zamir White going to be the starter? I guess technically the answer to that is yes, but I just think it's so far-fetched of an idea that it's just not going to happen. And I will say this, be careful who you follow in terms of Geno Smith, Aidan O'Connell coverage, because I do think right now there are a few Raiders beat reporters, and I do think there's a few content creators out there that are pushing this AOC narrative. I saw some guy on Instagram the other day being like, AOC is going to start, and they're just running with it. Just be careful who you follow. I'll give you my answer to this, but this is going to be the pinned comment here on today's show, and I think it's probably the better way to ask it. From a scale of 1 to 100, because I don't think it's fair to say 0. 1, 1% chance. 100, he's 100% chance that he's going to start. What are the chances that AOC is the Raiders starting quarterback week 1 of the NFL season? 1. And I think that's a fair statement to make, and it's not because I don't believe in Aidan. I think Aidan O'Connell is one of the best backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Hell, I even said on Twitter today, at Mitchell Renz 365, that if Justin Fields is actually down with an injury, if I was the New York Jets and I just gave Justin Fields $30 million and I didn't want to go pay Kirk Cousins all that extra money, go get yourself an Aidan O'Connell, give us a 4th-round pick. You're going to pay him $1 million to go out there, somebody that's played in 20 games, started in 17. I think AOC is a very well-respected backup quarterback in the NFL. But to say that he's going to steal the job from Geno, that means that AOC is a top 10 quarterback in my book, which, honestly, I wouldn't mind. What up, Chad? Super hype for Thornton and Genty, but things seem quiet on Besh. Is he going to get some playing time? Besh is going to get playing time. Thornton's going to get playing time. All these wide receivers are going to get playing time. But I think things are a little bit quiet on Besh because of things have been so loud on Dante Thornton. Things have been so loud around Trey Tucker. And I know on the first day of training camp practice, the Raiders marched out the first time they did their 11 personnel. Brock Bowers at tight end. 11 personnel, 3 wide, 1 tight end with a running back there. It was Dante Thornton. It was Trey Tucker. It was Jacoby Myers. Then they put the 2s out there. It was Jacoby. It was Besh. and Dante Thornton. I just think this team values Thornton so much from a decoy and so much from just a true wide receiver standpoint. You don't make people like Dante Thornton. If you were to make a receiver on Madden just based on athletic ability and athletic ability alone, you would make somebody that's 6'5", 210 pounds that runs a 4.3 40. That's been comped to Calvin Johnson. That's been comped to Randy Moss. That's been comped to DK Metcalf because he is truly that special of an athlete. And if he puts the route tree together, look the F out. Today's show is presented by Panda Supps, and if you're trying to get the best workout supplements on the market, use code Raiders at pandasupps.com. You're going to be able to save 20% off. The protein that I want you to check out is their brand new premium whey protein isolate, and this is protein that has got 110, 120 calories per scoop. I'm talking about 25 grams of protein and just delicious, delicious flavors that are going to taste like a cheat day. Now, here are the brand new flavors that they have. They have the peanut butter cookie, they have the chocolate brownie, and they also have the toasted honey graham. But I'll also say this, they have a lot of other very tasty and very good flavors as well that if you haven't checked them out, I hope that you truly do so. Pandasupps.com, use code Raiders for 20% off. I love this protein, and I think that you guys will too. This link is going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Let's keep it moving here on the Raiders Report. Let's go to John. Do you think the AFC has the best coaches in the NFL? If you're saying, I think maybe you're going with AFC West, I would say yes, because I mean, he also asked, did you hear about Justin Fields' injury? Yeah, from what I understand at the time that I'm recording this video, it's a dislocated toe. He's kind of day-to-day. I mean, he was carted off today, and I know when we hear carted off, it's like, oh, shit, what the hell happened exactly? But, I mean, I'd be shocked to find another division that has a Jim Harbaugh, a Pete Carroll, a Sean Payton, and an Andy Reid. Whether you think that they're the top guys now, but there's not too many divisions out there that have that many national champions, that many Super Bowl champions all in their division. And, again, I'd have to really sit down and look at it. But if you were to ask me, and I think most people in the NFL, I think people would say that the Raiders, the AFC West, is the best coach division right now. Let's go to Raider Rob. Saw an article that McLaurin for a second and Michael Mayer not dead yet. It wasn't a real article. I think right now we also got to understand that people are going to put out ideas, just like I put out ideas, right? The way that I do this show is to create conversation. I think that's a very important thing. We talk about breaking news. We talk about rumors. But I'm also a normal Raiders fan, so when I hear something, when I get information on something, I'll always relay it to you guys. But the trade that you're talking about right now, I believe was cooked up by CBS. I don't think either side says yes. Why? Because I don't think that the Commanders are actually going to trade away Terry McLaurin. I also don't think a second-round pick and Michael Mayer is enough to go get McLaurin. Yeah, you got to pay him $30 million if you're the Raiders, but at the exact same time, the Raiders like this wide receiver room a lot more than what people realize, because I don't think that people realize that what Dante Thornton is. I don't think people realize what Jack Besh can be, what Trey Tucker is right now. But I saw the trade. I think both sides say no. Let's go to Mark. Genty getting drafted at the 101 in your fantasy league. We are doing a Raiders Report Fantasy Football League, and we did give away a fantasy football spot today on this live show, July 24th, when the Raiders and Chiefs played against each other. But I don't think Genty goes 101. I do think, though, Genty is a first-round pick. Who gets drafted in fantasy first, Bowers or Genty? If you're in a PPR league, it's probably going to be Brock Bowers. If you're in a standard league, I think it's going to be Ashton Genty. And I think it just comes down to, what do you think? How many catches do you think Bowers gets? Because I don't think he's going to get 111 again. I have him more probably around like 85, 90. That's just because there's more mouths to feed. But it also comes down to position importance, where I believe Brock Bowers is the number one tight end in fantasy football this season. Genty, I do not think is the number one running back. I do think he's got top 5, probably top 8 upside. If it was up to me, if you told me in a fantasy league which guy would I personally draft first, I'd actually probably go Bowers. And I only say that because typically you start one tight end, but you can start 2, potentially 3 running backs. If you're only starting one tight end, I think Bowers does actually have more value because of the position he plays. Now, if you do not know, we are doing a fantasy football league here on the Raiders Report, and whoever bangs the most in the month of July, you're going to be in for a chance to win, which right now, that is Patrick Roche. We are also doing a raffle on July 31st, and I get it. Not everybody can join our live shows. I'm a busy guy too. But if you want to send in a $5 super thanks, you are going to be entered in for a chance to get in our fantasy football league. Rebel Montana got in, and he had less than a 1% chance to get in. He had 10 raffle tickets. He ended up getting in. Fabian Moreno, he was the Bang MVP in the month of June. Let's go to my man John White. Who was the Raiders Rookie of the Year? Genty, right? It better be. Oh, shit. Like, if it's not Ashton Genty, I think that there's a real problem or an injury happening. That's not a knock on any of the other guys. I think that you should ask this question is who's the Raiders Rookie of the Year not named Genty? And I think that the name I'm going to go with, Darian Porter. Because I think that Porter is going to be the other starting outside corner. And I just think with his development with Pete Carroll, he's got really sky-high upside. And if I don't say Porter, then I'll go with Dante Thornton Jr. Let's go to my man Bemondi. If we want our best corners on the field in our nickel package, who do you think could play nickel best? Stokes, Porter, or Jacorian Bennett? Out of those names, I'll go Jacorian Bennett. And I say that because I look at a player like Nate Hobbs, that Hobbs was athletic enough to play safety. He was athletic enough to play outside corner and slot. If you're asking me who's the best athlete out of Darian Porter, Eric Stokes, and Jacorian Bennett, the answer is Jacorian Bennett. I mean, if you want to just talk about athletes and athletes alone from a RAS score, which just evaluates overall athletic ability at the NFL Combine, Jacorian Bennett was like in the 99th percentile. So I would say Porter and Stokes are also built more to play on the outside, which then I would put JB in the slot, which some of y'all might like, some of y'all might not like, but that would be my answer to that one. If they use him like Ole Miss did, how many touchdowns for Pegues this year? I'll go one. Like, and again, like I get it. J.J. Pegues for his career at Ole Miss, 21 carries. 18 of those resulted in a touchdown or a first down. 7 of them were touchdowns. I know what Pegues has done. He's been a Wildcat quarterback. He's a lot better of an athlete. And I actually think that the Raiders' plan to, if the NFL would have banned the tush push, would have been for J.J. Pegues. I think that's actually one of the reasons why they drafted him and Tommy Millott. But I'll go 1 touchdown. I only say that because if it's between Pegues or Genty, I want the ball in Genty's hands. What up, Juan? When will you start panicking about Wilkins? I'm already panicking about Wilkins, quite frankly. I know that there's been the video of him dancing in the Crocs. I know that he's on the PUP list right now. But the importance of Christian Wilkins for us to be I think without Wilkins, we're like an 8, 7, 8, maybe 9 win team. With a healthy Wilkins, I think we go in that 8, 9, 10, 11 win range. Because if our defensive line can be what I'm hoping that it can be, Tyree takes a step, Malcolm looks great, Max does his thing, and then you get Wilkins with Adam Butler and some of these other younger players that we have a defensive line that's going to shock some people. So be honest with me. What is your one word for how you feel about Wilkins before the season? My one word, nervous. Because I know how important he can be. So my one word right now is nervous. Though I like Jeremy Cole's, frustrating. I think we're all a little bit frustrated about how this whole Wilkins situation has gone down. Not just because Wilkins is hurt, but I just want to know what the F is going on. What up, Jacob? Any updates on Munford? Munford did practice today. Again, I'm filming this on Thursday, which I think is also a big reason why Jordan Meredith took a lot of snaps at center. I think that the Raiders value Thayer Munford as that backup offensive guard behind Alex Kappa, behind Dylan Parham, and then that allows Jordan Meredith to go behind Jackson Powers-Johnson at center. Emmanuel Sanchez, last one. What 5 players are you most excited to see during the preseason? I mean, if Gino plays, Gino's got to be up there. Ashton Genty's got to be up there. Dante Thornton Jr., Darian Porter. And if I have to go one more, give me Trey Tucker. Give me Trey Tucker. Now, if I didn't get to your question, you can blame Chugs, or you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm at Mitchell Renz 365. Again, we do these mailbags so that way Raider fans can ask me the questions, and then that way I can just be able to break down everything I need to do. Appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in. And if you didn't see our Raiders vs. Chiefs live show, I hope that you please go check it out.